Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching Center Stage on WADL TV 38, Detroit's TV station. I'm Bankole A. Thompson. The discussion this week is the politics of fatherhood, the fatherlessness crisis in our community, the absence of natural fathers in the lives of their children. There's a conference coming up later part of this month in April. But first, we want to introduce our panel. Robin Wright King is the president and founder of the Detroit Fathers and Families Coalition, and Raja McPhail, the manager for the Fatherhood Initiative for Detroit Workforce Development Department, a part of the city of Detroit. Thank you all for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bankole.
Let's begin. You know, it's a known crisis that there is a lot of growing number of kids, you know, whose fathers are absent in their lives. And let's get from you, Robin, why are you involved in this mission of trying to get our fathers to be involved?
Well, I think it's important certainly that fathers be involved in their children's lives for any number of reasons, which could include things like poverty reduction, which I think is a general overall focus for father involvement. But from a personal standpoint, I got involved in this movement because I wrote a book called Papa Was a Rolling Stone, A Daughter's Journey to Forgiveness, about my personal experience with father absence. And that experience in writing that book was really the reason why I started this organization and thought it was important to advocate for how important fathers are in their children's lives.
And you have a conference coming up sometime in April.
Yes, yes. The conference will take place April 22nd, 23rd. It'll be at the Samaritan Center in Detroit, I-94 in Conner. It will be 2 full days of workshops, and the evening of April 23rd, which is a Friday evening, we are going to have a banquet that we are titling All-Star Dads Father and Daughter Banquet.
Okay. Raja, you are with the City of Detroit Workforce Development as the manager for the Fatherhood Initiative. Let's get your take here from a city perspective, again from a community perspective, on this crisis of fatherlessness in our community.
It is overwhelming. About 50% of children are right now involved in what's called father-absent relationships.
These are children in Detroit?
While in African-American communities,
right.
It hovers from 60 to 70%. That means that 70% of the children in the city of Detroit grow up without the active, persistent involvement of the fathers in their lives. And the outcome for these children, the behavioral outcomes, are oftentimes horrific. They fill up the reform schools. 78% of all children in reform schools come from father-absent relationships. 72% of long-term prison inmates come from father-absent relationships. 75% of high school dropouts come from father-absent relationships. So when you look at what's happening to the children because of the absence of their fathers in their lives, it is oftentimes horrific. And I'm a father. I have a 5-year-old son, and he is the center of my life. And most fathers love their children. Many of them need help in terms of knowing what to do in order to raise their children effectively and positively. But I've never met a father yet that doesn't love his children. So we have an ethical and moral obligation to support fathers as caregivers by educating them, by providing them with services, by making sure that they work, making sure that they know how to get along with the mothers of their children, and most importantly, making sure that they know the things that they need to do in order to support and affirm their children as their children become of age.
I know you're also involved in this conference that Robin is putting together, the Strong Fathers, Strong Families Conference at the Samaritan Center in Detroit on Conner. If you don't know, it is the east side of Detroit. But let's talk about the workforce development, because I'm a little bit curious here in terms of just what you guys are doing down there, and I guess explain to our viewers what the situation is like from the workforce development perspective right now.
We know that one of the things that fathers really need is work in order to support their families. Robin spoke about poverty. The poverty rate is impacted very negatively by father absence. So what our primary goal is to find work for fathers or to find training for fathers that will lead to full-time work. Because we know that when fathers work, they will support their families. We deal with unemployed and underemployed Detroit fathers. and we provide work services for them and training services. But the other thing that we do is we teach them those skills and behaviors and strategies that they need in order to be involved in their children's lives. Our number one goal is to reconnect fathers to the lives of their children.
Robin, why did you choose the theme Strong Fathers, Strong Families?
Well, just as I think Roger McPhail just mentioned, fathers who are actively involved in their families, fathers who have employment, can take a strong and serious role in helping their families helping to develop their children and helping their families to certainly stand strong and be viable contributors to the community. So I think you know, having strong fathers in place actually means you're going to have strong families.
Let me ask both of you this, and of course I am a father too. I'm a proud father of a 1-year-old son, Jelani Thompson. But I want to ask you this: in the age of Obama, we've seen him, you know, he's been out there a lot encouraging young men to step up and be involved in the lives of their kids. I guess in the era of President Obama, how difficult or how easy is it to address this crisis?
I think he has made a tremendous step. What he is asked to do within his budget that he has to submit to the Senate and the House,
right?
He's asking for $500 million to support marriage and responsible fatherhood, because he understands that it's more than just talk. I mean, you've got to provide the resources, you've got to provide the programs, you've got to provide the staff. So not only has he made an ethical commitment, but he has backed up that ethical commitment by making sure that there's going to be money available. There are 125 fatherhood programs across the nation that are right now funded by the federal government, and there's about 100 marriage programs. So this has been going on for the last 4 years. He wants to continue it because he realizes and recognizes that we are in a crisis. I mean, the United States lead all civilized countries in the number of children that grow up without the active involvement of their fathers.
Well, not only the fatherhood crisis, but also other crises. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation with Robin Wright King and Roger McPhail, the state of fatherlessness, the politics of fatherlessness, and the fatherlessness crisis that's going on here in the city. We'll be right back.